The story begins with a guy walking with his date on the sidewalk while eating ice cream. Suddenly, a truck is going crazy and about to hit them on the sidewalk. Without hesitation, he immediately pushes his date away from the truck to save her. When he's about to accept his fate, he wakes up in the middle of a burning village full of people's corpses burning. He asks himself, didn't he get hit by a truck? He can't speak or move his body either. He's scared that he will end up like that forever, so he tries to move as hard as he can, but to no avail. Luckily for him, an older man speaking in Chinese comes to his rescue. When he saw the reflection in the older man's eyes, it showed that he looked like a baby. The older man then brings him away from the burning village. The older man is wondering how a baby could be that calm. The older man then says they will be there soon and transfers his chi. The baby gets sleepy because of that. Hence the baby falls asleep. When they arrive at their destination, the people there shout the word Sabak. Sabak has been at the clan longer than the current master. It turns out that the older man is a Sabak, and the people there greet him when he's back. The baby wakes up, and the older man brings him to someone named Chung Jin so that Chung Jin will take care of the baby. While on his way to bring the baby to Chung Jin, the older man says that they're the Jongnam Clan. The Jongnam Clan was once one of the 9 strongest clans, but not anymore. The baby saw the people there do martial arts, and he was amazed by it. The older man noticed his expression. When they get to Chung Jin, the older man suddenly throws him to Chung Jin. The older man wants Chung Jin to make the baby his apprentice. The baby thought to himself that there was no way that he wanted to be their apprentice and learn martial arts in that body. The next chapter starts with Chung Jin giving food to Gunchung, and the baby receives that name. The baby isn't a fan of that name and martial artist. Chung Jin hands the food to Gunchung, and Gunchung is terrified by the white porridge that Chung Jin handed him. He then looks at Chung Jin and thinks that Chung Jin looks like a good person. Then he realizes that it is not the time to get sentimental. Gunchung is frustrated by the fact that he can't talk, and that makes his body react by crying. Chung Jin needs clarification about it. He doesn't know why Gunchung is crying. Gunchung continues to cry until the night comes. It turns out that Gunchung was trying to shout, but his body could only cry, so it was useless. Chung Jin is relieved that Gunchung is finally calmed down. He then puts Gunchung in bed, and even though it's already late, he starts training. Gunchung wants to talk. Gunchung then watches Chung Jin doing his training and tries to copy what Chung Jin does. When copying Chung Jin's training, he managed to speak the word, Mr. Gunchung looks happy that he managed to speak. Chung Jin heard that and told Gunchung to do it again. Gunchung tries to do it one more time but to no avail. That makes Chung Jin think he misheard Gunchung. Gunchung wondered if he needed to practice more. Time passed, and Gunchung flipped over his body after doing some chi training. He thought to himself that if he could keep up his chi training, he should be able to grow quickly. His head feels too heavy when he thinks of that, and he can't flip over back to his position. He panicked for a bit and tried to gather his chi again, but not long after that, Chung Jin came and immediately picked him up from the bed. Chung Jin couldn't believe that Gunchung had been practicing the Taeyul technique. Taeyul is a sacred mantra/teaching. Chung Jin then looked at Gunchung. He said that Gunchung doesn't look like a genius, but he also said if Gunchung is naturally smart, he could become a scholar. He then brings Gunchung near the window and looks at the snow outside. He hopes that spring will come soon. 2 years later, we see little Gunchung destroy a rock by transferring his chi. The next chapter starts with Chung Jin yelling no at Gunchung. He told Gunchung he couldn't eat rocks and told him to show his hands. There was only sand on his hand. Chung Jin was relieved that Gunchung didn't eat sand or rocks. Gunchung thinks he needs to keep his use of chi a secret. After that, Chung Jin brings him inside. The story skips to when Gunchung is a 7-year-old. Here, we can see Gunchung trains his chi more and more, to the point where his chi naturally follows his body movements. Chung Jin then comes to him and says that tomorrow is his time to go to Taepyeongjeon. Chung Jin says that since Gunchung is 7 years old, he needs to study to become a martial artist at Taepyeongjeon. Chung Jin said to achieve true strength, it would help if you went among the common people. Gunchung then asked him if it was pilgrimage training and also said that he heard those who did the training often die without accomplishing anything. Chung Jin told him not to worry because they would send Gunchung to somewhere owned by the Jongnam Clan or an established company to learn about the world because it's too dangerous to send Gunchung into the world completely alone. Chung Jin told Gunchung that's the reason why they should strive to become a faithful disciple. Gunchung then replies that he heard martial artists can't get married, but Changjin assures him the Jongnam Clan will let him get married. Gunchung was relieved when he heard that. Gunchung is thinking to himself that Gunchung is a third-generation disciple, but since he's enrolling early, he'll be closer in age to the fourth generation. He thinks there will be a huge age gap between him and the rest of the third generation. Not long after, Gunchung saw a beautiful girl come at him. She asks if he's Gunchung and then introduces himself to him. Her name is Gunyang. Gunchung said that it was a pleasure to meet her, a Saju. Saju is the term for a girl who's been in the clan longer. He asked her how she got his name, and she said she was there to pick him up. Gunchung looks happy. He thinks that his life there won't be that bad after all, and they start their travel. When they arrive at the destination, Gunyang gives him a stick, and he doesn't know what that means. Gunyang said that it was hands-on practice, and then she made a circle around them and stated that they couldn't step outside the circle. The practice began as she started to make the flashy old-fashioned attack pattern, which made Gunchung startled. Gunyang, who saw him startled, stopped her attack. She's shocked that Gunchung still needs to get the basics. Gunchung said that it was his first sparring. Gunyang then showed him how to block for a bit, and something sparked inside Gunchung's head. Gunchung then asks her if she can show him that attack again, which she gladly shows to him and says that he won't be able to block it anyway. She then starts the attack again, and Gunchung, getting ready for it, decides to dodge the attack instead. As soon as Gunyang's attack landed, it greatly impacted the ground. Gunchung is both relieved and worried. But he told Gunyang that he'd try to block it this time. Gunyang, who feels a bit annoyed by Gunchung's response, agrees to make that attack on Gunchung once again. She quickly makes that attack again, but this time Gunchung can block her attack, and as he's about to do a counter, the chapter ends. The next chapter starts with Gunchung blocking Gunyang's attack, and he charges in. As Gunyang's preparing to block, nothing happens. Gunyang's confused by that and asks him what he's doing. Gunchung said that he couldn't move his body without thinking about it first and hadn't thought about attacking her. Gunyang thinks that Gunchung's actions fall short, but she thinks he's smart. Gunchung then asks her to continue their practice, which she gladly accepts. The story skips 2 years after their first practice. We can see Gunchung and Gunyang practicing their martial arts, which have greatly improved compared to their first encounter 2 years ago. Now, we can see that Gunchung can block and dodge many attacks from Gunyang. He even managed to make it harder for Gunyang to attack him by using his learned techniques. He then explains to Gunyang anything she asks about and shows her how to connect the 6th and the 9th forms using the chi flow. He also said that the tail chi technique plays a big part in it, and it's important that his movements don't become disconnected. Gunyang is unsure that a 9-year-old like Gunchung should say something like that. She then made that evil smile and proceeded to show Gunchung her improved form. Gunchung thought he had managed to block her attack on his head, but Gunyang suddenly changed the target area and hit Gunchung with it. She doesn't stop there. She then launches a kick into him, which Gunchung thought would be an easy block. But as the kick landed, the kick pushed Gunchung. Gunchung thought he blocked the kick perfectly and asked Gunyang how she managed to get through. She said that was called a Jae-gong technique. Gunyang says if Gunchung memorizes the attack patterns and blocks accordingly, she can instinctively switch to an irregular attack. So, Gunchung can't rely only on memorization. Gunchung looks down, but Gunyang tells him he's only 9, while she is 19. Now that he looked a bit better, he told her to wait as he thought about what to do at the library. When Gunchung is gone to the library, Gunyang wonders if he really is a genius because Gunchung managed to block the attack even when she used Jae-gong. The chapter starts with Gunchung searching for something about the Jae-gong technique, but he needs help finding it. He said that it's already been a year. Then it shows us how he always got beaten at practice by Gunyang, who can use the Jae-gong technique. He thinks that that is the end of the line for him. The candle he uses is about to burn out, and then he sleeps there. In his quote-unquote sleep, Gunchung suddenly learned about the meaning of the Taeyul technique. He wakes up from his sleep because of that. Not long after that, Gunchung said that he finally understood the Jae-gong technique. Gunyang didn't believe that a 9-year-old kid like Gunchung could do that, so she wanted to test him. When Gunchung shows it to her, she says it is not the Jae-gong technique. Gunchung says he considers it the essence of connecting the Taeyul technique with what he has learned. Gunyang wants to know how he does that, and then she charges in to attack him to see if it is a form of the Jae-gong technique. While they're practicing, the older man is watching Gunchung practice. In their practice, Gunyang seems unable to find an opening in Gunchung's defense. Gunchung even counters her kick once. But knowing Gunchung, she won't give up that early, so that she will push through with her raw strength, and then she charges toward Gunchung. Gunchung attacking Gunchung's defense with her raw strength, and she can finally get through his defense by a bit. But Gunchung managed to trap her, and this time he immediately went for a counterattack, which Gunchung knocked out from that. Gunchung asks her if that feels different from her Jae-gon technique. She still can't believe it and asks Gunchung how he does that, and he explains it to her. Later, we see Gunchung walking with his master, Chungjin, and ask him why the clan leader calls them. Chungjin is unsure about it, but he said it might be because Gunchung's exploits are already famous throughout the main clan. They finally arrived at their destination, and the clan leader greeted them. The clan leader tells Chungjin to leave while Gunchung makes himself comfortable there. The clan leader said that Gunchung must be wondering why he called him there, which Gunchung shows affirmation. It turns out that the clan leader wants to discuss Gunchung's accomplishments. But before that, the clan leader wants to ask him a question. He asks Gunchung if he can tell him what he thinks about the meaning of Taeyul. Gunchung answered his question by stating that Taeyul is a large connection. It connects him with the world and creates a continuous flow. When Gunchung explains more about it, we can see that even the clan leader is impressed by Gunchung's understanding of Taeyul. Later that day, the older man comes to see Gunchung and talks with the clan leader for a bit. The clan leader recommends he hear what Gunchung has to say, but the older man refuses it. The older man says it doesn't matter because he's too old. He then approaches Gunchung, who's sleeping, and says to the clan master that he plans to lead his final will to Gunchung. He transferred his chi to Gunchung, but his chi is sealed right now because Gunchung can't handle it yet, but he also said the seal would break when the time is right. He then says to the clan leader when the time has come, he needs to instruct Gunchung well. He believes that Gunchung is the future of their Jongnam Clan. After that, he said that he required some rest now. Years passed, and now at 16, Gunchung grew up to be a large-framed, 180 centimeters tall boy. Long story short, spring has come, and Gunchung jumps from a rooftop onto the practice ground and starts his practice. While practicing, he managed to make the students there amazed with what he did, such as casting a thread sword and making it into a blade guard. Shortly after, someone said that Gunchung would be summoned to the Weimujan. He's wondering why they would call for him. At the Weimujan, a guy said that an emergency just came up, and unfortunately, they have no one to resolve that issue. Gunchung asks him what the emergency is. He responded that he had already informed Chungjin that Gunchung could leave immediately. Gunchung asks him where to go. He said to go out there and eliminate some mountain bandits. Gunchung accepted it. On his way there, he asks himself what he should do first. Then he thinks he will probably eat first because he is curious about Chinese food. Afterward, he goes to a market. He needs to catch up on what civilization is. I can't blame him for it since he's been away from civilization for 16 years. He's looking for Taeyul Tavern there. He then asks a person there who seems to know that Gunchung's from the Jongnam Clan and says he should help Gunchung however he can. Gunchung asked him if he knew a place called the Taeyul Tavern. The person Gunchung asked shows him how to get to Taeyul's Tavern. Gunchung appreciates the help and goes to the Taeyul Tavern. When he got there, he met with his 3 Saiyungs. Basically, Saiyung is like Sabak. They're Saiyun Jin Juksan, Saiyun Huang Lihyun, and Saiyun Hong Jukman. The 3 Saiyungs introduced themselves to Gunchung. They also said that they had heard a great deal about him. They said they were going to Sukchun and they should meet with Taeyul guards to devise a plan to eliminate the bandits. And the 4 of them started their trip to Sukchun. They arrived at their destination, and the Saiyungs called for someone named Hyunsu. Hyunsu comes out of the building to greet them. The Saiyungs introduce themselves and Gunchung to Hyunsu. Hyunsu asks them what brings them there, and when he's about to say something, Saiyun Jin Juksan confirms what Hyunsu is about to say. Later that day, they discuss the plan, and Hyunsu says it differs from the bandits' work. Instead, it's the work of the dark cult. Saying Jin Juksan said that is a serious problem and they might be unable to handle it. Gunchung asks them if the dark cult is that strong. Then Saiyun Huang Lihyun explains to Gunchung about the dark cult, and as a comparison, the strongest one in their main clan, the clan leader, couldn't get into the top 16 martial arts masters, yet the dark cult has 2 people in the top 16. Those 2 people are the Dark Master Chun Eunma and the Blood King Sakchung. Saiyun Huang Lihyun gives Gunchung an idea of how strong the top 16 are. He says a few decades ago, one of the 16 went through a field of 10,000 Mongolian soldiers alone, managed to slice their lord's neck, and came back alive. They call him the Dark Viceroy of Death. Sayang Huang Lihyun then explains more about it, but Gunchung needs to understand how serious it is. Then Sayang Jin juts in and tells them to get some rest, and he'll gather information about it to see if they can handle it. Afterward, we see 3 guys wearing a cloak observing them from the outside. They discuss their plan for this situation, like who the Jongnam Clan sent after them, and after discussing their plan for a while, they decide that they will eliminate them, and their primary target is Gunchung. The next day, Gunchung wakes up and thinks about his first mission and who he'll be facing. When he leaves his room, Sayang Jin returns from gathering information. He said that they would be having a meeting right now and ordered everyone there to gather up. Sayang Hong asks Sayang Jin if the dark cult is gone, and Sayang Jin says that's what they said. Sayang Jin then says that the dark cult has fled since their unexpected actions. Sayang Huang asks him about the target item, and Sayang Jin states that he has already found its location and their job is to retrieve the target item. Sayang Huang wants to know how they are supposed to do that, but Sayang Jin says they've sold it off and will only need to buy it back. All of a sudden, Sayang Huang asks him where the item is. Sayang Jin says that the item is in Xian. Sayang Huang wants to know when and how they sell it there, but Sayang Jin tells him that it just shows how capable the dark cult is. Thankfully, most of the dark cult has left. Hence the area should be safe for now. Knowing that Sayang Jin said they should start heading out now, and if they send a message to the mainland, they'll figure something out. Before they head out, Sayang Huang invites Gunchung to a drink. Gunchung reminisces about his past life there. Gunchung accepts his invitation, and they drink together. Since it's the first time he drinks that much, he will pace himself. Sayang Huang taunts him, but Gunchung says he would not do something as stupid as drink himself into a stupor. Sayang Huang said that Gunchung is pretty bold with his words. As Gunchung says, everyone in the main clan knows about his boldness. All of a sudden, Sayang Huang Lihyun passed out, which startled him a little. Then it shows us the moon, and a man wearing a cloak says something like in his great name. Later, Gunchung is carrying Sayang Huang away because he can't leave his Sayang there. Gunchung feels there's something wrong there. Gunchung's right about that. A restraining circle is cast upon him, but it doesn't affect him much because it's too weak for Gunchung. The cloaked guy who cast that circle asks him if he's Gunchung, the 3rd-generation disciple. Gunchung asks him back what if he says yes. The cloaked guy then proceeds to attack him. Gunchung didn't prepare for that ambush, but he can form his defense after he put Sayang Huang down. The cloaked guy didn't expect that power from Gunchung. So, he calls for help and attacks Gunchung with his allies simultaneously. When they're slashing their sword at Gunchung, he catches their sword and breaks them with his bare hand. Gunchung launches a counterattack, and he beats both of them with it. Gunchung said that he was warming up. After that, he approaches Sayang Huang, who is out right now. Not long after that, he notices someone killed the guys he beat. Gunchung was hit by the reality of this world, by the fact that they killed them to stop information from being leaked. Gunchung then brings them to the Sayangs. Sayang Jin praises his Saji, Gunchung. Saji is what older members call the younger ones. Sayang Jin also tells him to be careful. Sayang Huang also gets warned by Sayang Jin. Sayang Huang then shows Sayang Jin that there is poison in the attacker's body. It's the poison the dark cult members use for suicide, according to Sayang Jin. With all that being said, Sayang Jin decides that they'll send a message to the mainland. A few days later, the informants failed to locate the remaining dark cultists, but now the world knows of their return. Gunchung's name is also frequently brought up in the rumors. Then, we can see Gunchung saying goodbye to his Saiyans and saying he will meet them again. His business there is done, and now Gunchung is back to his pilgrimage training, which he seems to have no interest in. Gunchung hoped he would learn about the world from the Saiyans for a month or two. Now he's deciding where he will go next, and he got an idea. The sky starts to get darker, and Gunchung goes through the woods, and he says that, finally, he's at the Moyong family house. The Moyong family is one of the most prominent and influential families commonly featured in wuxia. But as we can see, when Gunchung says it's time for some warm soup, rice, and a comfy bed, he realizes that he got lost in the woods.